The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Discretion is advised.
Welcome, everybody in the whole entire world, to your favorite podcast, Martha Stewart's Happy Hour, with Dan Cleary. I'm sorry. This is episode 77 of Rare Form Radio. We just got done with our December Rare Form Residency, and it was a blast. We had Lisa Rafael Dunn on the show, and made a lot of memories, had a lot of laughs, made each other very nauseous often, very, very often. But now we turn the page to a new year and a new month. This will be airing in January of 2021. Thank Christ. It was the worst year, I think, of all time, in the history of all time. So with that comes a new Rare Form co-host. The anticipation, I know you can feel it mounting. Like I'm getting hot, I'm getting hard, I'm getting excited, I'm getting nervous. And you've been waiting. You guys have been waiting. You've been asking. Some of you, actually a good amount of you, requested this person by name. So without further ado, please say hello to my January co-host, Mr. Steve Wendell Isaacs, everybody. There he is. On blur. Beautiful.
Wow, that was magical.
How'd that feel? You ever been de-blurred before?
This is great.
Pretty exciting,
This is
huh?
great. Yeah.
How are you, dude?
I'm good. And all I heard from that whole thing was that 2020 sucked and Lisa was doing 2020 and now it's a bright new day and here I am.
It makes sense, right? Yeah, it makes sense. Like, let's flush the turd that is Lisa and wipe our butts and have a brand new shiny butthole that is Steve Isaacs.
Yeah.
Welcome. It's what you've always wanted.
My mom would be so proud.
I know. Oh, speaking of mom, I do want to get to your parents at some point because we have.
I do want to get to your mom. I was waiting for that.
I really got to get to your mom. How are you, buddy? We just got done with the Christmas holidays. Right now, it's a little bit before New Year's when we're taping, but people will hear this, after New Year's. How was your Christmas? You're a big holiday guy, much like myself.
Yeah. I like that you're a big holiday guy because your outward prickly appearance and kind of young cantankerous man, which I love, by the way, all said with love. You wouldn't think that, and I like that. I like people that have like dichotomies to them, and so I love that you're super into the holidays. I love the holidays, super into it. We have like a holiday playlist. We play it like from Thanksgiving on. I watch my like old Rankin Bass shows and my like Charlie Brown. I don't do everything. There's a whole load of it that's painfully saccharine, just kind of awful. And I don't mess with the religious stuff, but I'm into Santa. I'm into Elf. Oh, by the way, do you like Elf? Are you into Elf?
It is an absolute must, a classic. I was just saying to the wife the other day, because we watched it the day after Christmas because we didn't have time, and fuck it. I mean, it's 2020. Watch stuff after Christmas. Who cares? But I love that it is an all-time classic, and it happened in our lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, we were there. I saw it in the theater, and like your grandkids and like their kids are gonna watch Elf the way we watch A Christmas Story, and that's cool as fuck to me. I love it.
Have you seen, then you would love this. Did you watch, how Netflix has the Toys That Made Us series?
Yes.
And now they're doing the like movies that made us and did you watch the holiday movies that made us with Elf?
It's in my queue, but I have not dipped into it yet.
Treat yourself.
Okay.
It's so good.
Okay.
Did you know that Ralphie from Christmas Story is in Elf? He's the main elf.
Oh my God. Now that you say that, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. There's
that's
so
amazing.
much interesting shit about that movie. They filmed all the New York scenes in 13 days. And all that stuff with him running around, like going in the like revolving door, all that stuff, they didn't get permits. They just took Will Ferrell around and did crazy shit because they had such a tiny shooting schedule.
That's
You should watch
amazing.
it. It's real good.
So Elf is basically like a guerrilla film in some ways. They just went around and like, stole shots.
Yeah, with that, and then you'll love every element of this. And then almost every interior, from James Caan's swanky Central Park apartment to the book publisher, all that, it was an old insane asylum or a correctional facility. They went to some place upstate where they could film, and it was derelict. It looked like a haunted house, but inside they could theme out every different room that they needed for the shoot. Oh, dude, it's so good. It's so good.
It's so funny because I would in my mind I would think that would be like a $150 million budget because of how much we love it now. You assume that it was like, oh, this is a slam dunk. Will Ferrell at his height, but it's funny to hear they had to like cut corners and make the most out of it.
And Will Ferrell wasn't really Will Ferrell at that point. Like Old School had just come out, but when he got the gig, he'd only done Night at the Roxbury, and I think he was in like Zoolander as the bad guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, it's great. You should watch it. Not that like when anybody listens to this, they'll be giving two shits about Christmas. It'll be like done, but treat yourself.
Listen, we have a lot of really slow listeners. They may not even know that Christmas is over with, so they might be thrilled. They might be getting ready. What is your all-time favorite Christmas movie? One that you cannot miss in a season?
That's tough because I always end up missing one or the other. I'd have to. My favorite of all time is Scrooge with Albert Finney and Alec Guinness, and no one's seen it, but I grew up on it. They played it every year as the musical version, which the same guy who wrote the music for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory wrote that. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. No, the good one, not the shitty Johnny Depp one, the good one back in the day, the musical one. And he wrote, Anthony Newley wrote the music too to Scrooge. Scrooge is super, super good. I love it. I get all misty. That and It's a Wonderful Life. It's a perfect movie. Great movie.
Do you know that I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life?
You really should.
I know.
It's incredible.
It's like every year I want to watch that. I want to watch Miracle on 34th Street, and I just don't.
Miracle on 34th Street, you can leave. It's
really?
Yeah.
Which is
It's a Wonderful Life is like arguably, I mean, people should be putting it up there with like Citizen Kane and like Lawrence of Arabia. It's incredible.
I haven't seen either of those movies either, but I have heard that Wonderful Life is on that list for many people as one of the greatest.
It's insane.
Is that the one that has every time a bell rings, an angel gets its way? Okay.
Yeah. I literally cry every single time at the end of that movie. I don't think I've ever watched that movie and not gotten all, oh my God, it is a wonderful life. It's amazing.
So you mentioned my super like rugged, masculine, sexy, kind of outward, gruff appearance in different words, but that's basically what you were saying. And I will tell you that Home Alone, Scrooged, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and Elf all make me cry every single time I watch them. Every single time. Every time. So, I mean, that's for the ladies out there. You know, I'm a sensitive dude. You know, if my wife dies, guys, line up. I'm here for you.
You know, I actually have some problems with Elf in the third act, and I always have.
Okay.
I think it's the first two acts are perfect. The first act is every second is perfect. I have the feeling that they rushed the third act because when she like kisses him on the ice rink, I'm not really there. And then when the dad kind of comes around all of a sudden and he's like, okay, cool, let's hug and that kind of stuff. I feel like they missed a couple scenes of Will getting to do something where he all of a sudden, you know, like it's basically Big. The movie is basically Big, where it's like it's a child, and what grown woman is going to find some adolescently minded or like little kids, like somebody that they could kiss until there's like certain scenes that make you go, they're not just the elf character. And I don't think that they got those in there. And then at the end, when everybody's going to Central Park and happens to meet up, and then she knows to sing, and then I feel like they had all the pieces, but there was a couple scenes to make it like really lands. So I
know what you mean.
I don't
It does,
love
like,
the end as much.
at the end when Buddy and Santa are trying to like fix the sleigh, Buddy's real dad and his brother Michael happen to walk through the bushes at the same exact spot where Santa, like, it's a little weird.
Yet all of New York, who is watching some kind of thing about Central Park and Santa, is like 40 feet away and not going anywhere near. They're just, where is this Santa person? It's like, Central Park isn't that big, motherfucker. It's you could look.
And
like
I'm happy that you brought up Zooey Deschanel's character Jovi kissing Buddy, because if you think about it, I think most people think that he's like an adult with severe mental handicaps.
Yeah.
And she's
that's
like,
the other thing.
She's like, I'm gonna fuck that one. Like, that's the guy I want, the guy that is a little bit missing in the brain area.
Yeah. Yeah. People think he's damaged because that's the only read on him. Like, and it's like, they didn't really write that much of a character for her. She's great. Her voice is great. She looks like a fairy princess, but it felt like there needed to be a little something that he said that she had something wrong in her childhood. Like, and he's like, you were always good enough. You're good enough for me. And then she's like, oh my God, daddy issues or some kind of shit that made it all work, but it didn't.
That's how easy the damaged ones are, apparently. It's that easy. And Buddy cracked the code. So what did you guys do for these lovely holidays, you and your lovely wife?
Went to Santa Barbara. And I feel it's like weird because like we went to Santa Barbara and then we're just about to go to Mexico, and we're in no way flying in the face of this whole thing, but we actually are, just because we are doing these things. It's like I'm on the page of don't do anything, stay the fuck in, let's get this thing under wraps. But we drove up and hung out with our folks for Christmas, and then we had an anniversary trip planned at the beginning of COVID, and we had to put it off. And April's been dying to go. She's like, please, let's put it back on. Let's put it back on. It sucks here. It's probably better in Mexico. And I've been like, no, this is nuts. But I gave in. And so whatever. So now I'm afraid, like, if we go out, like, I'm like, honey, don't post on social. Let's keep this vacation kind of quiet. And my wife, she's like all about the Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Every second of her adult life is chronicled somewhere on some kind of medium somewhere.
Yes.
So let's talk about this for a second.
So fuck it.
Because you just talked about like one of the major problems that we're having during this COVID stuff is people who are seemingly, you guys take it very seriously. Like when you walk in Steve and April's apartment, right by the door is, boxes of rubber gloves and sanitizer and masks and the whole thing. I've seen Steve probably maybe 5 or 6 times since all this started, but doing key handoffs and seeing, I give him haircuts now and then.
Yeah, totally.
And you guys take it serious, but you guys are in the height of LA madness, going out and doing stuff. How do you get to that spot? Because when this started, I was way more concerned than my wife was. Like, I didn't want to go anywhere. She did all the shopping. Like, I was legit like scared because having asthma, and they didn't know for sure if asthma was affected more so. So super, super nervous. And then now it's kind of flipped where I'm a little bit more lax and she's getting really uptight about it. How do you go from being that serious to being like, we'll roll the dice?
Well, I mean, I'd say we were always serious, but I was never like, I'm not leaving and I'm not ordering food and I'm not doing it. I've always been like, do the best I can, but I'm still going to order food. And if I can eat outside on a patio, I'm going to friggin' eat outside. So I guess, I don't know, it depends on your scale. If like, this is like, I'm not leaving ever for any reason. And this is like, I'm going to be giving rim jobs at a club in Brazil. Like, I'd say I'm like around here.
Okay.
I'm not like obsessing on it. But we go out, we got masks and we put, Sanny all the damn time. And, we're going to get on a plane in a couple days, which is a little weird, but we did also book it like a month and a half ago. And it was right before, it was when it was only going like this and it hadn't actually like gone like vertical.
It was before LA became the epicenter of the globe.
We're number one.
Hey, listen, we've known it for 20 years. And look at that.
That's
boy.
Stands. That's beautiful.
Don't be nervous. It's just me. Just me. Don't be nervous. It's just your buddy Dan. Yeah, it's hard. I think there's so many of us, especially in these, libtard, radical left cities that are just kind of fed up. Like people that have been serious this whole time. I'm not saying you guys are, but a lot of people are just so fed up with like nothing being done and people not really doing it, where you're like, fuck it, I got to risk it. Like it's a year of my life that's literally gone now. I'm going to get on a plane, and you can't really fault people, but like, I know it's a tough call.
We'll see what happens. We're getting tested tomorrow. We're getting tested when we get back. We've known two couples that have gone out there to the same town in the past like 6 months. So we kind of like, how is it down there? Is it, do they have it together? It's Mexico. I don't know what, are they like on it or not? Do they like, hey, who knows? Who knows? But we got frigging face shields and whatnot for the plane, and so it's in the world of risky, I guess. And I don't feel 100% cool about like, hey, we just got back from vacation. I'm going to be a little chill about it, but probably be super glad that we went. And
I think the chances are very good that you'll both be completely fine, and it will. I imagine going to Mexico will recharge the batteries enough to get you through to like vaccine point. I would hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll give you that breath. Are you guys both all for the vaccine?
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's funny that it's like a question. It came up over the break with some family members, and somebody's like, I'm going to wait until like really late, and I'm like, we don't even get it until next summer. So like, if anything weird's going to happen, like we'll probably find out. But I'm like, isn't this what we were waiting for?
Right.
Like a vaccine. Like now we got to argue about this.
My
fucking America
favorite
just needs to fall into a giant hole and just get sucked in like a
We're trying our best.
Sucks.
Keep fracking. We'll fall into some hole somewhere at some point. It's so funny. My favorite is seeing these people who are like either heavy smokers or heavy drinkers, or they eat all kinds of fast food, that are super worried about side effects from a vaccine that's made to save your life. It's like, you fucking smoke cigarettes, you idiot. What's the matter with you? How do you not see how stupid you look?
Right.
Dude, I can't wait. Give me the vaccine. I'll take it right now. I think I get it before you do, because I think I'm on a different tier because of being asthmatic.
Really?
So not one to brag, but
yeah.
Hey, look at me. No, I can't wait. God, I miss people. I haven't hugged anybody besides my wife since March, and that's so strange.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Great Reset. It's the Great Reset.
Yeah. So while we're still talking about family, can we talk about the letter that you wrote? Because I want to break that down.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So Steve and I both we have very similar beliefs, towards the world as far as like gay rights, and we kind of line up pretty much politically. The only Black Lives Matter rally that I went to was with Steve and his wife, and it was a really cool thing to be a part of. And me going to that really upset members of my family, like really, really, really upset them to the point where like this year, I've talked about it in earlier podcasts. We don't like to get too political anymore because people started tuning out. God damn my voice. But like, yeah, it's the last 4 years have driven a huge wedge between me and some friends and a lot of family. And you wrote this, it's almost like an op-ed piece, but like it was like a letter to your mom and your stepdad, because they have opposite political beliefs, and they just, you don't explain the letter basically, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I feel like from talking to you and from some of my other friends, actually a number of my friends, our parents are on the other side. And it sucks that we even have to think about this as this side and that side.
Yeah.
It's become so bad. It's become so crazy. I always used to just not like Republican ideology, just like, oh, that's not really my thing. And frankly, Republicans seemed largely more untrustworthy or hypocritical or leaning on the Christian right to get votes, and where I didn't believe anything was pious about them or whatever. But I just kind of like was, I just vote blue, big deal. But I wasn't like blue and like red is the devil. But good old Donald has brought out just the horrible divide, where we're like against each other as opposed to trying to collaborate. It'd be kind of nice if like we all said, hey, this is a great country, and if it was all Democrat, it would suck. It would fucking suck. If it was all Republican, it would suck. You gotta have, it's just like, two people, like a man and a woman, or two guys, or whatever, two parts of a relationship. You can't really have a greater whole unless you've got different parts. And we don't see that ability to be like, well, the left has to push this way and the right has to push this way, and then in the middle we get hopefully something workable that works for a large amount of people. But my stepdad is like in space with this stuff. Like he's like, and he's like, all I've got is my mom and my stepdad on a certain degree. It's like my dad and I were never that close. He's actually Democrat, which is kind of rad. But the point is, I felt like things had gotten so crazy during the summer with Black Lives Matter and with the cop pushing the frigging old man who was walking down the street.
God, dude.
And pushed down an old man, and he like hit his head and started bleeding from his ear. And then the next day or whatever, Trump goes to a church and holds up a Bible. And it was just I'm like, you guys, I just wrote this all up in a really long email with like pictures and links and shit. So I was all backed up. And I'm just like, you just can't think that this is a good guy doing good things for the country, that we're in a good place. You just can't. And you don't have to be pro-Biden or anything, but like, how do you feel about X, Y, Z and all this stuff? And, they didn't get back to me. Or he didn't get back to me. My mom wrote like, well, I guess now you think we're against gay people and that we're racist and all this stuff. Just kind of like, I love my mom, but it was a butthurt mom emotional response. Yeah. It didn't answer any of my questions.
I want to point out before 1 second, I just want to point out that when you read this letter that you sent, you made it very clear, like, I love you guys. I grew up respecting you. Like, you taught me right and wrong. You taught me how to treat people and how to like what makes you a good person. And yet you're championing this person who goes against everything you taught me as a little boy. And so I just want to let people know that your letter came from a place of love and wanting to figure out what's going on. So, yeah,
exactly. How can there be this much of a divide? Like, how can we be seeing the same situation so differently? Because I don't understand. But I have like maybe 4 or 5 buddies that are like, my folks, I have no idea what the deal is. It's just crazy. So it didn't lead to any great resolution, which is kind of a bummer, but I felt like I had to get it off my chest.
Sure.
Because it was eating me up. I was like, oh my God, like it was eating me up.
I was proud of you because I've said a couple things to my parents. My mom is a lot more able to hear me out than my dad or aunts and uncles and shit like that. But like, my dad and I had a really weird, like, clashing that I was like, oh shit, I think maybe he's done talking to me forever. And it was like, I can't believe that this happened over this fucking dude and over like. Like, I don't understand. But anyway, I was proud of you for doing it.
The jackass from Home Alone 2 has wrecked my family.
I just related so much to what you were saying, and you said it so well. And it seemed like when you posted it for other people to like, hey, take this and send it to your family and friends, the response seemed to be pretty strong from people that were happy that you did that. And hopefully it helped them a little bit because I sent it to my mom. It helped because my mom knows you. My mom loves you. So it seems like when people hear the other side from people that they like and admire, it might make them more open to listening. But anyway,
still so scary. I mean, I feel like we just got like a second to breathe. It really felt like a psychedelic, magical wonderland on election, the day or that week after election day or whatever it was, that next Saturday. It was like, it just felt such a release. But then like I mean, you got to give it to the jackass that he is not backing down. I mean, I think it's only for his brand, and it's only for money, and he's grifting his followers for money. It's just, there's nothing good about it. There's nothing good about any motivation that he's ever had. There's no good in it. No. But I can't believe that, like, I have to almost admire the insane lack of a hold on reality to keep it going this long.
Yep.
Like when there's just somebody like exceptionally crazy and you're like, you stay crazy.
Enjoying the podcast? If you'd like to show support for Rare Form, there are a couple of ways. Become a patron at patreon.com/rareformradio. Make a one-time donation or choose from a few subscription levels paid monthly for extra benefits. Those extra benefits include bonus episodes not available to the public, exclusive live streams, more interactions with the gang, along with other special perks that will change over time. Choose your level of donation and know that your contributions go to keeping the show running and growing, paying crews behind the scenes, and just supporting independent artists. That's patreon.com/rareformradio. You can also get Rare Form merch by going to rareformradio.threadless.com. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all kinds of silly shit. We're constantly adding new things and limited time only goodies. That's rareformradio.threadless.com. You can also help build the show by subscribing, leaving a review, and most importantly, leaving us a rating on iTunes and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Lastly, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram by searching at Rare Form Radio. Thanks for supporting independent entertainment.
Last night, you told me that you watched Wonder Woman, the new Wonder Woman, 1984.
Yes. Did you watch it?
I did. So
people are like pissed.
Steve and I, we're going to get into it because I have thoughts. I have plenty of thoughts, and you do too. One of the things that Steve and I have in common is a real love for superhero movies. Steve was a comic book guy as well, but I'm a movie guy, and I'll never forget when I first moved here. It was in '99. I think in 2000 is when the first X-Men movie came out, and you and I went and saw that at Universal, and like that was like the start kind of this superhero onslaught that's been the last 20 years, and I've loved almost every second of it. But you and I have always bonded on those movies, so I loved the first Wonder Woman. Did you like the first one?
I loved it, and I thought I had problems in the third act.
Okay,
but I loved the first two acts. I thought were just like, wow, this is some of the best superhero movie I've ever seen.
Third act, Isaacs.
Yeah. Well, it's. I think the hardest thing for a director or a movie to land is to tie it up somehow. So it's really like it's. Especially though with a superhero movie, because they always end up, it's got to be the end of the world. The stakes have to be the biggest stakes ever. And it's normally like a CG, like a big giant face, like the end of Doctor Strange. That's I'm going to kill everything and I'll eat the world. It's just, I'm over it. And that's basically what happened with Wonder Woman. It had like this strangely charming, she's got the accent and she's not like a great actress, let's say. I wouldn't be putting her in like Meryl Streep roles, but putting her in Wonder Woman, there's something a little bit otherworldly about her that kind of made sense, because that's a character ready to be shitty. The Wonder Woman is just like, really? She's dancing around with a lasso and a clear plane, and she's bouncing. It's DC characters can be a little of a rough
very
sell.
Easily could have been like Lindsay Lohan, and it could have been the worst movie of all time.
Awful. Yeah. But like her and friggin' Captain Kirk, I was totally into it. I was like, you guys are cute, make it work.
And she also, by the way, is painfully gorgeous, painfully good looking. We're like looking at her, it hurts my body at how beautiful she is.
Yeah, it puts a crack in the Earth's crust.
So you agree? It's like
she's a physically perfect person. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a perfect casting for that, for this Amazonian superwoman. Okay. So how did the first one end? I forget how the first one ended.
Eris, like the god of war. That's the thing. It was like I almost got sleepy at the end of it, where I was like, I love this movie. I like the cute little English, the heavy chick that's her friend, and like all of it I loved. And then at the end it was like, okay, there's a CG guy and he's gonna it was like,
Oh, yes. I got it.
Was it even CG guy, or was it just that bad Nazi guy? Like, see, I can't even remember. So
Right.
There's something.
Also, with these superhero movies, I couldn't tell you beginning to end what happens in any of them, in any of the Avengers or Iron Man or
Yeah, totally.
X-Men or Logan or fucking Wonder Woman or Batman. I couldn't tell you any plot points of any of these 50 movies, but I can tell you that I love them. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm the perfect audience because I'm not the most intelligent dude. I'm not like a film critic. I'm just like, it blew up. That was great. Blew up again. I love it. He's so fast.
Don't sell yourself short.
No, but like, I really like, I honestly can't tell you what the Avengers is about. I don't know what Iron Man's about. I don't know who the super fast dude is. I don't know. I just love him. I love every bit of it. But I watched Wonder Woman 84. And like you said, a lot of people, this came out a couple days ago, and Twitter is shitting all over it. Hate it.
Yeah. Like, I was surprised.
A lot of the themes I've seen is that it's like way too feminist. It's like, okay, first of all, let women have their superhero. Like, shut the fuck up. And also, I love Wonder Woman too. Like, it's not just a feminist movie, but like the point is like, we get it. Women are great. Men are bad. Okay, got it. Like, they feel preached to. But I will tell you, Steve Isaacs, I watched it last night. It's 2.5 hours long. And I loved every fucking second of it. I loved it. I loved Chris Pine. That's who he is, right? Chris Pine plays the boyfriend who
one of the Chris's. I mix them
comes back. He comes back. I'm not going to say how, but he's back in the movie. When he's like, so his character in the first movie was around. He's like a World War II pilot or something, or World War I or something. So he comes back in this one in the mid 80s, and watching this guy get his bearings on the 1980s was one of my favorite segments in recent movie history. But I loved it. I thought the movie was badass, and Kristen Wiig is in it, and
she was great.
Let's not give away too much about what happens with her, but she was fucking incredible.
I thought she was really great. I actually haven't been seeing people shit on it for the female empowerment angle. I've been reading other people just saying it's a mess, the script's terrible, the villains are bad. And I thought the villains were actually fantastic.
I agree.
Because like we're talking about the whole third act thing, comic book movies tend to like throw a thing that's trying to be the ruler of everything and kill everyone. And it doesn't almost ever work as good as it did with Thanos. Thanos was somehow a computer generated guy that he had this sadness to him. He had this kind of gravitas. And for my money, that was like a great comic book villain, arguably the best. And Pedro Pascal, his character, don't want to give too much away, but as opposed to being just this power hungry person, he was a flawed, actual cheesy bastard and found a way to basically ruin the world by giving away wishes, which is what a cool idea that like we all think that, if I get my wish, everything's going to be great. But you think if everyone actually got their wish, someone else has to pay for it.
Yes.
And I thought that was just like, what a great idea.
There was literally two or three times during the movie where I paused because I had to think about like, okay, so what does that mean for the world? If this person wishes this and then this happens, there's going to be clashes all over the place. So like,
what a cool idea.
Yeah. And it's kind of like time travel where if you really sit and think about how this movie works, like it's hard to wrap your head around how it would actually work, but it did. And it was new, and it's really hard to be new with anything nowadays. Yeah. But as far as a take on a villain, it was good. And then another villain shows up at one point in the movie that is just so fucking badass. The transformation at the end, I dug very much.
Well, that got ripped on, the CG at the end.
I loved it.
Which I didn't really have a problem with. And I think, as opposed to talking about people who are misguided by not liking this movie. Let's talk about what was great about it.
Okay.
I think the fight choreography was great.
Yep.
And I don't totally mean when she flies around, it's a little bit Spider-Man 2, kind of like, woo, everything is so perfect and her hair is perfect. There's a little bit of that. But I thought the actual like people getting beat down and slammed into pillars in the White House. I felt there was like gravity to it. I think Patty Jenkins knows how to choreograph a fight scene to make it feel like it's not just people bouncing off CG magical Spider-Man space.
Yeah,
largely.
There's something that it's hard to put your finger on, but like when you watch these CG fight scenes, you can tell when it's fake because the bodies don't seem to have any kind of weight to them. Like they don't seem to. They look like they're a piece of paper. Every person looks like they're super light. So I agree with that. Yep. Very well done. So
cool. I'm glad you liked it. I'll tell you, I did have one critique, but it's not really like, I loved it. I love the whole thing. I don't want to give away anything, but her pining after Pine, like her character motivation was, I love this guy. But I've spent 40 years being single, looking like Gal Gadot, and I didn't date that whole time because this guy died. It's not even like he rejected her and she's like, I got to get you back. No, he died. She'll never love again for 40 fucking years because apparently she's immortal or age is really slow. They don't answer it.
Right.
And that her whole thing was all about him. For my money, and this might have been, maybe this was some of the critiques people had, is that she should have been a little bit more autonomous, and it should have been more about her and not about her dreaming after some dude. And I get that. It didn't take me out, but I did kind of go, why is she still talking about this guy? Like, she reacted to a lot of characters as opposed to necessarily pushing forward and being the driver of the plot.
I think what you're trying to say, and I agree, is that what would have been really nice was like a montage of her getting pounded out over the course of 4 decades of like her casual hookups, getting bent over a trash can somewhere in DC, or like jerking off an Uber driver when Uber first came out. There's so many options. I think that's what you're saying. And I totally agree.
Thank you for clarifying it.
There should have been like, imagine if in the middle of the movie, there was like a full on X-rated montage of Gal Gadot just fucking 8 different dudes, like full penetration, and then like go back to this cool DC movie. That's what I'm imagining.
So you were alone for 40 years? She's like, no. But no, it wasn't
I didn't
fulfilling.
Say that. Yeah.
In retrospect, I now realize that it wasn't fulfilling. And, from 35 to like 57, it's kind of a blurb. And but now you're back.
Apparently, Amazonians can get chlamydia. I had no idea. So that movie came out. That was supposed to be a full-on theater movie, but because of the current state of the world, they had to do like a pivot, and it came out on HBO. Which it's one thing I'm loving about COVID is this kind of stuff. Like I would have seen that in the movies happily, but I like that they're starting to put theater movies in your home.
It's a controversial as hell. The filmmakers are angry. The Dune guy, Denis Villeneuve, I'll never say his name right, but he's like angry as fuck about them putting Dune on HBO Max.
Oh, I didn't know they were going to.
Hear about that whole thing?
No.
They announced, it was a couple weeks ago. Warner Brothers announced that the entire slate for 2021, all their movies are going straight to HBO Max. You didn't hear that?
No.
Oh, dude. And so people are like, oh my gosh, what's this going to do to the industry? And like, holy moly. And they said it's a temporary thing, but everything in 2021, get ready. Same day, Wonder Woman 84 style. And
what studio again? Sorry, what studio?
Warner Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. So the biggest one that was supposed to be out this month, which I was super friggin' excited about, was Dune. I went and I read the book. I'd never read the book before. I read all the damn Dune books this summer. I was all ready, and I'm like, and then they put it off for a year to next October. And then just 3 weeks ago, they said everything is going to HBO Max. And the director who directed Blade Runner 2049, and he's
I didn't know it was the same dude that did that. That's going to be a great movie.
What did he do? What was the Amy Adams sci-fi where they talk in pictures?
The Signal? Arrival.
He did Sicario. I mean, this guy's great.
That was great.
This guy's a great director. Mm-hmm. But he's like real angry, and a bunch of them are angry, and they're trying to like sue Warner Brothers. And like, I didn't make a TV show. I made a movie. Like, that's what we did. Like, you can't just not tell me and put it out on TV. That's super shitty. And now a bunch of directors and like just filmmakers in general are just super pissed, and Warner Brothers is like, wah, wah.
So the director has no say in when it comes out, right? The studio decides when your movie goes out. So if they say,
I guess so,
right?
Yeah.
So is he more upset because financially he'll lose money, or is it because like when you're a director, you want your thing to be in theaters, you want people to see it that way? It's an easier way to track who is watching. Like, what's the biggest concern in his mind, you know?
He wrote an op-ed for Variety where he's like, when we were making this, I was trying to make this like the greatest sci-fi epic of our time, not a show for the worst streaming service. That's what he said. I'm paraphrasing, but he's called it the worst streaming service. But you know, like, I got to imagine, like, when you're a director, you are like equal parts a huge amount of talent and being able to be a great manager, and also lucky as fuck that you can make movies and continue to make movies. And so you're thinking about that experience, which there's no replacement for.
Yeah.
You know, when you're watching a movie, it's just different than watching on TV. When we watched Wonder Woman, we took a pee break. We paused it. The streaming kind of sucked for a minute, and I restarted the Apple TV because I didn't know if there's whatever the hell. You know, people can be talking, or people like, hey, wait, what did she say? Rewind it. It's different than when you are just stuck in a seat. It's dark, and you are forced to watch this 2.5 hours of whatever the hell it is. Mm-hmm. And I can imagine them being, you know, directors being like, man, this is like, it's not, you know, like Chris Nolan. He's pissed about the whole thing.
That's what I was going to bring up. He just dug his heels and he goes, nope. What the hell's that movie called? Tenet. He's like, nope, it's not going streaming. It's going in the movie theaters, and no one saw it. I mean, of course, nobody saw it. And from what I heard, is people that did see it are like, didn't know what the fuck it was. It sounds like the most confusing movie he's ever made.
Which is saying something.
Have you seen it?
No, I want to, but it's like for pay now. So once it's free, I'm like, I'm on it.
I got a link.
Or when it's cheap. When it's cheap, you do. When it's cheap rental, I'll do it.
You know what we should do? Maybe we should do we should watch it together and see if we can we should watch it and record our in-time reactions as to what the fuck is going on and see if we can follow it. That could be fun.
You know, we could watch it, and I could have the iPad, and we could have a recap. And when we're confused, I could just be like, oh, okay. So that guy, the top is spinning forever, and he's in a dream. And I'm like, awesome.
I get it. I
feel like I need to apologize to your listeners because I'm not funny.
Who gives a shit? I didn't have you here because you're funny. I had you here because you're handsome. That's the only reason.
All right.
We can get into some funny stuff if you want to.
Sure.
Let's talk about
I love talking movies. I love talking movies.
Let's talk about the time that you let me pee in your mouth.
That didn't happen. But I did poo in a box for you.
Yes, you did.
Did you pee in my mouth?
No, I did. No, I made that up, but I love that you actually were like, did you do that?
I was like, did we have a bet? I was like,
that shows you how close we are. If you didn't think I did, but you bet all your money that it happened at some point.
I wasn't sure you didn't. Yeah, I was
exactly.
Like, well, I was imagining there'd be like, you know, like a shot glass worth, and you're like, okay, cool. I'm gonna give you a splash. Like
there was a time that you maybe would have done it.
Probably.
You know,
I've done some dumb things.
Well, I mean, it kind of hurts me that you think that would be dumb to do for me, but whatever. You know, let's say, how about this? Maybe when we come out the other end of this goddamn coronavirus 19, you and I
the hoax
each do one small little shot of each other's pee.
So what's in it for either one is just that we each get pee. There's no like, it's not like winning a bet or losing a bet. The value proposition is off.
We both lose. I mean, it's a bet that we're both losers, but it's just a cool thing to say that we did, and people will be jealous, I think. So we'll do it. We'll do it.
Okay. Sounds great, dude.
Or what we can do, we can like both pee in a shot glass. And we can do like a full-on mix-up kind of thing where you take the sip and you don't know for sure if it was yours or your buddy's.
Ooh, why don't we do rush pee roulette? Where it's like, there's like, those like NyQuil caps, like those small, not a full shot glass. I don't know if I'm that adventurous, but there's that. And then there's like apple juice and some like Fanta or whatever, some like pineapple Fanta. Like, and you just have to like rotate it and like stop, like musical chairs, and then be like, oh, you got to drink it, you son of a bitch.
Or just literally 2 cups where we'll do like a lazy Susan, a small spin with our eyes closed, and like whatever goes in front of you, you have to drink it. And the way we'll make it cool. Okay, this is going to be great. We're going to do this. the way it's going to work.
We'll make it cool.
This is how it's going to be cool is that both of our pee is going to be in the same cup so that like, I don't know. So like no one's like, if I have to drink my pee, that's a win for me, but drinking your pee sucks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're going to have a mixed bag of what would it be, like a gin and tonic, but of pee, of Dan and Steve pee in one cup, and then apple juice in the other. And whichever one of us has to drink the pee, it's an automatic loss because there's no chance of you getting just your own pee.
Right.
This sounds like a Christopher Nolan script.
I love this. Spontaneously, you've really thought this out, which is impressive.
I'm excited about it because people are going to love it, and we're gonna make friends start doing this with each other. It's going to be the P challenge. It's going to be 2021. We're all going to be really excited. We got the vaccine. We're going to be just crazy. It's going to be bedlam. It's funny that we're gonna make it out of COVID and then drink friends' piss and get some new disease and start a new Wuhan flu, but from LA. Oh, I can't wait to drink you, dude. What is do you have all the streaming services, by the way?
At the moment, yeah. I wasn't like planning on it because I'm trying not to pay all the money in the world. But not Peacock, not Stars. There's a few I don't have. I got the important ones.
What's your number one?
That's actually kind of tough right now because they were HBO Max came out, was kind of like and then Disney came out and was like, whoa, Mandalorian, and then it was just like, that's all you got. That's all you get. Yeah. But they just announced like 10 Star Wars shows, 10 Marvel shows, actually shows and movies. So it's about to be like a whole crazy amount of stuff on Disney Plus. Right now I'm liking HBO Max. I think because I still like my HBO shows. They still know how to make a good show. Not that many, but they know what they're doing. But as far as stream, it doesn't really count. But my main thing is YouTube TV because we cut the cable. And so I use YouTube TV, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Netflix, and that's the suite.
YouTube TV really pissed me off because when I first switched over, I got rid of DirecTV, which was so stupidly overexpensive. And I went to YouTube and it was like $30 a month. And then a month later, it's like, oh, no. We're not $30. We're $65 a month now. Yeah. And that was such a bold, like, that's a massive, like, it's not often that you double your price in the span of a month. Usually like, okay, guys, we're in the boardroom. Goes, Yeah, exactly. Like, in 3 years, we want to be at $65. We're going to slowly ramp up. YouTube's like, fuck that. We're going 30 to 65. Fuck everybody. They're going to do it. And they did. But it is still cheaper. Hulu did it right before them. So Hulu did it right before, and I was on Hulu for live TV. And then I'm like, oh shit, they upped their prices. And I got YouTube TV, and then they did it too. Yeah. But it's so much better than cable. I would rather have my toenails pulled out by Jared Kushner, which actually kind of interesting, than go back to cable. Cable is dead, should have died a long time ago, and they deserve to die. Oh, they're on the way out. You got to think. Yep. I don't think DirecTV and all these people are going to be around in a few years. There's just no way. There's no fucking way, dude. So you mentioned HBO, and I would say that HBO makes the best documentaries of all time. Have you watched the Have you watched the Heaven's Gate documentary yet? on HBO?
No, just a bit of the first episode. Did you finish it?
Yes, it's 4 episodes. It's 4 1-hour episodes. And are you a doc guy?
Yeah, and I love cult docs.
Me too.
And the wife is like true crime. I like true crime, but women in general love true crime. It's it's not a gender stereotype thing. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's a total fact.
Some stereotypes are real, and that's one of them. It's true.
Yeah, a lot of stereotypes come from somewhere, and,
right.
and it's actually true. Like Oxygen, when I was working at an advertising agency, Oxygen was all female broadcasting, and they said, "Hey, it's not working. This roster isn't working. Let's go all true crime," and it was the same audience. Like they just went all true crime because it super over indexes with female viewers.
Wild.
And so I like that stuff. But I love cult documentaries. So what do you think of it?
I love it. And Heaven's Gate has always been my favorite of the cults. You know, you got what? You got the Branch Davidians, which is David Koresh in Waco, which was weird and wild. Obviously, you could throw the Manson family into the cult talk, of course. Jonestown, another banger. Really good stuff out of Jonestown. But Heaven's Gate was my favorite because it brought together a few of my favorite things, which is weird secret society stuff, aliens, and mass amounts of death. These are my favorite things in the world, and
they're the best cult.
That's what I'm saying. That's precisely what I'm trying to say. Is like, so the cliff notes of Heaven's Gate is so. This documentary talks about how they started in the 70s, which I did not know. I thought they died in the 90s. This mass suicide was in the 90s. In my mind, they started in January of 97 and they were dead in the middle of the year. I thought the cult was like a flash in the pan, but it started in the 70s with this guy, Marshall Applewhite, which is just...
was he T or Doe? Was he Doe?
He's Doe. Yeah, he's Doe. I think. Yeah, he's Doe. And they thought that they were going to hop on the back of this comet that had a UFO attached to it, and the UFO was going to fly them to heaven, which in their mind was an actual place that you can go to.
Yeah, Ed?
Right, exactly. I get it. I understand. Where do I sign me up? But like, it literally is like the most insane idea to get people to buy into, and that's why I'm so intrigued by it. Like, so these people, T and Doe randomly meet in the 70s, and within a very short amount of time, one of them makes the comment that, I think that I was born an alien and I need to get back to my home planet, and the other one was like, me too. Same, dude. Same. Let's start a cult. And I just love when these people find each other, and the fact that you can bring more people in. I can't wait for you to watch the next 3 and we can talk about it, because I'm just so interested in how these things get going.
Right.
And then I was talking to my mom about the documentary the other day, and she told me that my aunt and uncle wanted to join, and I didn't know that until like 2 days ago.
No.
My aunt
How did
and
they
uncle,
know about it? Wasn't this like some West Coast thing?
Because it wasn't all West
Or
Coast.
Portland?
They also toured the whole country, and my aunt and uncle, not by blood, thank God. I'd be a little bit too embarrassed, but they heard about it and wanted to go join, but didn't have the finances to go move west.
Get out.
They wanted to go do it. And
just out of curiosity, are these some of the relatives that are like all Trumpers?
They let's see. They're both dead now, so I don't know if they would have been. They were cool, but they were a little weird. My uncle was like a musician. He played drums and smoked tons of weed and like may have sold drugs. I don't know, but like I don't know where he would have stood.
So cool, like a cool
he was
guy.
super cool, super cool.
Sounds cool to me.
Didn't have all of his teeth, so like he fit the persona. But he was always cool to me, and like was really supportive of my music stuff. And my aunt, she just died a few years ago, but she was very, very sweet. But again, like nowadays, I don't know what that means politically, because some really sweet people that I know have gone to the dark side, and I'm like,
yeah,
used to be awesome. But yeah, so they wanted to go join Heaven's Gate. And part of me, in a weird way, wishes that they did, because I would have had a much cooler story to tell. If like, oh yeah, my uncle killed themselves in San Diego trying to hop on a UFO.
I was obsessed with that when it happened.
Me too.
I was like, because it dovetailed with the beginning of the popular internet. So that was right when like websites started to be like, oh, what's a website? Oh, there are things that everybody needs to have, and your business needs to have, and these people fucking off themselves in this crazy, interesting way, because they're going to go on a spaceship, all wearing the same outfit with Nikes in bunk beds in a commune, and that they had a website. And it was up, and it stayed up for, I mean, I think somebody's still hosting it. It's heavensgate.com.
Oh my God.
I mean, and I was obsessed with it. I'm like, oh my God, because you could, right now, heavensgate.com. And it's fully all 90s awesome.
It hasn't been updated?
No, it's just the exact same thing. I think somebody's like, I don't know if like they paid for eternal hosting or what, but it has like our position against suicide, videos, Earth exit statements by students. I mean,
dude,
it's amazing. Did you watch Wild Wild Country?
Well, yeah. What's that one? What's that?
Dude, you're missing out. You'll love it. Love it.
It sounds familiar, so I feel like I may have. What is the deal?
Tough titties. The Osho. The Rashish, what's his name? Bhagwan
yes, I did. And I did watch that one. Yes.
So good. I love that one.
The name doesn't like, I remember the title of that doesn't work for what the show is to me. You know, it doesn't like.
They should have called it Tough Titties, because that's the big quote. That
was awesome. That was a little bit of a slower build than like Heaven's Gate. 4 hours, whole story. It moves quick.
Nice.
But like, I just love all this mind control shit. Do you guys do The Vow?
Oh, I started it. See, I got to watch these because April's not as into them. So I have to like find non-couple TV. And I've realized in my old age here, I only watch TV with the wife.
Oh, really?
I never watch TV alone, because it's just if I'm alone, I'm doing other stuff, or I'm trying to smash video games in. You know, it's like I've got to like find my time to have my me time, and I just really don't watch any TV alone.
Interesting. Like today in LA was a super rainy day, and
nice.
Wife and I were home, and we were in separate rooms the whole day watching different TV stuff, and I was working on music, and we like just kind of did our own thing. So like, but also. You and your wife probably go to bed at the same time. Do you guys like go to bed together and get up together?
Yeah.
Okay. My wife goes to bed at like 9 or 10, and I'm up until 4 a.m. So I have 6 hours of watching all my own shit and playing video games and doing all that shit. So most of the TV I watch is by myself. You got to find time to watch these this crazy shit.
Yeah. So did you like The Vow?
Yes. It's so uncomfortable. Cool. It's so weird. And then at times you're watching it. If anyone's, that's the Nexium sex cult. Where this guy, I forget his name right now, but started this like self-help group that basically he just used to turn into like a fuck party with all his like his followers, and he ended up going to jail a few months ago. But it was great. I'm so intrigued by how you get people to follow you, how you get people to, how do you get them in the door? Then how do you keep them? And then when do you make the turn into like, and we're going to kill ourselves? You in? Huh? You want to die soon? I forgot to tell you this one extra part. Did they tell you in orientation about the suicide thing? Yeah, no? I know it was hard when we had you say goodbye to your family, but there's more.
That was it. That was it.
Yeah.
That was truly goodbye.
I don't know. You got to think the people that fall for it are they all have to be lost people, right? They have to be missing something big in their life. They're looking for a purpose, or they've been through some kind of trauma. Like, I don't think I know anybody in my circle who would like fall into it. but I guess you never know. What do you think it is? Like, who are the people that sign up and follow through?
No, I think you're right. So the only guess that makes sense is, we all have something. I think anybody worth a damn has something broken in them to some degree. And even the people who don't look like they have anything broken probably have something more broken. They just have no ability to acknowledge it, or they're like, Donald Trump is probably one of the most broken people possible because he postures himself as being completely invincible. So he's probably the core broken person. But, I guess we play ping pong with the youngest version of ourselves throughout the course of our life. Like it's a ping pong game. Like we don't know what kind of echoes and reflections are inside our psyches that have created our personalities. Like, I don't know why I do the stuff that I do. I haven't gone to therapy, but it makes sense that when you're becoming formed as a person, as just a little kid, the first negative impulses, the first positive impulses, you're reaching for more of those positive impulses and you're shying away from the negative impulses. And it bakes in really deep on some people, and I just, for my money, what you said made perfect sense. There's like a brokenness that's very deep and really willing to accept, fantastic, crazy shit. We've heard so much about Scientology, and I feel like we haven't really, it still doesn't make total sense. And I've spent a bunch of time with some friends, really digging in, how is this a thing? Because here in Los Angeles, it's a thing.
It's a way of life.
Right.
If you live anywhere near Hollywood, which we kind of do, you and I live not like I could walk to your house in 10 minutes, but it's LA, Scientology is a part of Los Angeles, and you see it everywhere. And it's so commonplace that you don't even think about it anymore. When in other parts of the world, people are like, those people are insane, but they're our neighbors, and they're some of our friends in some ways, probably, it's they're amongst us, but you were saying.
Yeah. And so I wonder, really, what's the story with that? I'd love to, I've heard a lot of stuff and, about Xenu, Galactic Overlord, and they tell you that whole story after you get to level 8 and all that. I really wonder, is Kirstie Alley she's like, Xenu, it's fully a thing. Or she's like, oh, that's just the media, fake news.
I wonder too.
I don't know.
That again, HBO doing their thing, that Alex Gibney Going Clear documentary that broke down Scientology was amazing, and it sounded like it gave credence to that whole Xenu storyline, that it is about this alien person throwing human souls into a volcano or some crazy shit or whatever the fuck it is. But man, I guess it's not that much crazier than Christianity. That's all, to me, it's all insane.
Right. But then again, you're a super pro UFO guy. Yeah. Would there be an argument for some kind of galactic intelligence basically being our God? If I'm writing a story, you could say, the humans want to have a God story, scenario, a belief system. It's worked forever. It will continue to work forever in all of its flavors and shapes and sizes. Is there a divine intelligence that's just an alien? It's how do you factor in the UFO that you love? Are you just it's got to be numerically, it's got to be a reality because of the infinite number of planets out there, that there's got to be intelligent life, and that's they've probably cruised by and probed us on some level.
I do. I think, it's kind of hard to argue that there's other life in the universe. You have to be a special kind of arrogant to think that we're we're the only people that can do this in the whole universe. There has to be people or beings dumber than us that are slugs that are living in water somewhere. And in my mind, there has to be these angelic super intelligence that don't speak, that speak with their minds. I don't know. I don't think we can even fathom what's in the universe, which all scientists agree is infinite. if you try to wrap your head around what infinity really is, it like can make you sick.
Yeah, we can't compute that.
Right.
Yeah,
so like
we can't compute it.
People have said that Earth, where we live, this planet is the equivalent to a grain of sand on the beach. And like every grain of sand is another planet somewhere. So like, of course there's other life. And I do think they've been here, but I don't know. Why wouldn't they take us? Why wouldn't they take us for experiments? But then part of me thinks that they're so smart, they probably know everything already. And there's some thoughts that maybe they are us from the future, that they already know who we are, that like that's what we've evolved to at some point, and they're coming back to try to keep us from destroying our planet. I mean, I don't know. There's so many. I don't know if I believe in like the reptilian type folks, like the underground lizard people.
What's that? I haven't.
Reptilians?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that believe that there's this malevolent is like bad, right?
Yeah.
They think there's these malevolent alien beings called reptilians that live like in the Earth's core, and they come up and they like eat people, and they do all like the New World Order, black government kind of. They pull the strings and all the bad stuff in the world, that they were responsible for the Holocaust and for nuclear weapons, that they're like the dark force of humans is put forward by reptilians, which are like
lizard people under the
lizard
ground.
people.
Okay,
They're like
right.
walking lizard men that have like the darting fork tongue and like the weird slit eyes and scales, but they have like a human's body. Cool shit.
Well, all right then.
Yeah. So I don't think I believe in that so much, but as far as like just beings, cool. Which is also why, that's probably why I liked Heaven's Gate. Like it had the lore for me of like, I want to go on a UFO. I want to fly around space. How cool would that be? I believe in aliens. So I wonder if I was a little bit stupider, if they could have roped me in. Maybe. I don't know.
If they had good merch, it might have worked.
I mean, their logo is pretty badass.
Their logo is pretty badass. I should make that as shirt.
Navarro, our mutual friend, Mr. Dave Navarro, just bought 3 Heaven's Gate away team patches for me, him, and Todd.
Oh,
so we're gonna put them on our shit. But,
I think I saw the post of that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, the away team. They called themselves the away team because they were gonna leave Earth on a fucking UFO, dude.
Oh my God, I love that.
It's so great. Oh, it makes me so happy. Fuck. You and I, we should have. I have this friend, Jeremy Corbell, who has over the last couple of years become one of the leading, not reporters, but like investigators of UFO stuff. And he's put out a couple documentaries about aliens and UFOs. We should have him on at some point this month, maybe to talk about
fun
UFO stuff and this idea of a Xenu type God. And is it that crazy to think about? You know?
Did I ever tell you about my dad's bag of UFO hypnosis tapes?
Dude, what are you talking about?
Okay, check this shit out. Okay, so I've known Dan forever, since the late 90s.
Yeah.
I guess we never talked about this because my dad and I, we just never grew up was never that close. I'm closer to my dad now than I've been in my whole life, which is great.
You guys
we like text each other.
Circle back as adults. Yeah.
Circled back. Yeah. But growing up, it was just like, I didn't talk to him for like a few years one time. We just weren't that close. You know, it's like got divorced when I was 6. And so I would see him on like weekends and just kind of, wait to leave. It just wasn't like the greatest thing, right?
So excited. I'm so excited. My dad is,
he spent his career being a clinical psychologist. So as opposed to a psychiatrist, which prescribes drugs, he talks to you about your feelings and goes, and it wasn't like Freudian analysis. It's basically a therapist, So one of his disciplines was hypnotherapy. So that was one of the ways that he would talk to people, and he would put them under and then talk to them and ask them questions and work on their, everything that they needed. And at one point, my dad, he mentions that he is a part of this group of therapists who, let me do one more setup about my dad. He's like, he didn't like Ghostbusters. He is like not about fun fantasy anything.
I will vouch for this.
Disneyland.
I've met your dad. Have I only met him at your wedding?
I think so.
Okay. He's just like, I don't know if he's smiled in 50 years. I don't know, like if he gets what a joke is. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's like.
He's actually got a great sense of humor, which is weird. I just never saw it.
I'm
like
going to go to bed. I'm
going
to put on my bed suit and my bed tie now and lay down in my bed loafers. You know, just like, I don't know,
but he's not a like whimsical guy. I'll say that. You know, in
he's the opposite
respect.
of you. Like you're this person. You've always been like, Disneyland, holiday, eggnog. Oh my God, this cinnamon fucking donut. Like you have excitement towards joyous things, which doesn't seem
not
like
growing up. Basically, is the deal.
Why do you think that you and I get along? We're both like advanced aged children. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my dad is the opposite, right? And all of a sudden. And he never tells me anything about his own life or his personality or anything. He never feelings. And he always says like, oh yeah, have I told you about Opus, the group of therapists that I'm in, that we all deal with UFO abductees? And I'm like, if you made more jokes, I would have thought that was a joke, but he didn't ever really make jokes for me. So I'm like, please slow down, rewind, tell me the deal. Apparently there's a group of therapists who all have had the same experience of having their clients, their patients, under hypnosis, have the good old-fashioned alien abduction story or some variation of it. And there's so many of them that they have their own group so that they compare stories, and they have like this therapist club or support group or whatever. So my dad has a paper bag full of cassette tapes of people under hypnosis talking about driving, and there was a bright light, and they were sucked up into a spaceship and the whole thing. And I'm like, I talked to my dad a couple years ago and I was like, Dad, can I get that bag of tapes? He's like, oh, you know, when I pass away, you'll have it. And I'm like,
I'll kill him.
But I want it now. My buddy Dan will kill you. Yeah, so I'm, maybe I can talk him into it. It'd be so. You and me should have a listening party.
I almost don't want to say this on the air, but I'm going to. You and I should start a podcast where we listen to these for the first time together and have this, like, go through them over the course of, I don't know how many tapes there are, but go through them. Each episode is a different person or a different regression or something.
I've spent years being like, what is in this bag? I hope it's not like 2 tapes. It's just some mumbly ass, like,
I saw an alien, he touched my butt. And then that's over with.
Hey, I was gay.
In my mind, it's like, 90 hours of regression and, oh my God, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
I
That's pretty
love
neat,
this
right?
shit. Yes.
Crazy, right? I can't believe I didn't tell you. I never think about it. And it's like,
when did he tell you this?
He told me this, like, it was probably like in the 90s or something.
Holy shit.
Like probably like not too long before I met you.
So literally you've had this information our whole relationship. Wow.
Yes, it's true.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's really exciting. You got to find a way to get him. You got to get him. Tell him April's going to leave you if you don't get the tapes or something. Tell something ludicrous, or tell him, I don't know. You got to get that shit.
I'll tell him, I'll withhold my love from him, and it'll be all, yeah. And
like, yeah, I know how that feels. Yeah. He's like, that seems fair, Steve. I've been doing it to you my entire life.
Zip bop.
Bip, bip. Let's end on that. That's a pretty good cliffhanger. And
Cool.
by next week, I want you to get those fucking tapes. We'll drive up to North Cal. We'll get them. We'll bring them back, and we'll start listening.
Boom, 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 boom. Dad, I'm here for the tapes.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year.
I know everything's cool these days, and we can bitch about Trump and text to each other, and I'm into it. But without those tapes, it's off. Game over,
off,
bro.
Yeah, this is a wasted relationship if I don't have those fucking tapes. Oh my God. That's so good. That's so good. Like that, there was one time I was sitting with my dad. My dad was in Vietnam, and he wasn't like in the shit, but he saw plenty of stuff, and
He was shit adjacent.
Shit adjacent. The worst thing he saw. My dad was a helicopter pilot, and he said the worst thing he saw. I'm sorry. He was not a pilot. He was a helicopter mechanic. But there were times where he shot the gun out of the side of the helicopter. Doesn't know if he hit anybody. But the worst thing he saw is his buddies were coming in a helicopter to land, and it was like super dusty. And something happens sometimes with helicopters where the dust kicks up and you can't see, and the helicopter pilot loses sight of if they're level or flat or not. You get like dizzy. It's almost like a vertigo brought on by not being able to see. So my dad watched two of his buddies tip over in a helicopter, and it blew up right in front of everybody. And he saw like two of his close friends die. That's the worst shit he saw. But like one time him and I were sitting together, and I was always nervous to ask him about Vietnam, because you never know if someone's been through some shit, if they don't want to talk about it, if they do. And we were having dinner at his house, and I was like, what was Vietnam like? Do you have anything you want to, I would love to know. And kind of like your UFO story where the UFO tapes, he just opened up and like told me all kinds of cool shit about these buddies that he had, and people he, lost touch with, people he stayed in touch with, how weird it was being away from home at that young of an age. And he went in on his birthday and came out on his other birthday. But it's one of those defining moments of me and my dad's relationship, where like I had the guts to ask him a question about something, and he just kind of like filled me in, and it was nice. You know what I mean? Wow. Like, my dad and your dad are I guess our relationships are the same, where like I wasn't ever really close to my dad until I got into stuff that he was also into. You know what I mean? Like I got into cars and stuff when I was 16 and got into sports in my 20s. And then he was like, oh, okay, I can like this kid. I thought he was gay forever, but now we can be friends.
It gave you some kind of sense of common ground. You could find
it opened the door,
level of communication. Yeah.
So we could build a friendship off of talking about trucks, and then we can keep the relationship going, talking about the Red Sox or the Patriots, and then allow an actual friendship to grow through that.
Wow, that's cool. See, I don't have that at all with my dad.
Right. Okay.
Like, we don't have one level, except in the past, literally 6 months. My dad and I, we started talking about politics, and my dad's like, I think I want to start writing a blog. Can you help me? And I was like, what? So I made my dad a blog, and he like writes posts and they're really well written and they're good and everything. And we can bitch about politics. It's literally, I'm 51, and it has been up to this point that we had an actual topic. And I'm not even being dramatic. There's been no topics, not music, not movies, not, my life, not his life. It's just, the last 6 months we could bitch about Trump. So basically, thanks, Trump.
Yeah. Bringing people together all over the world.
I mean, it doesn't just separate people. It actually can bring people together.
There's a reason people call President Trump the great unifier.
and now I know. And now
that's it. So what would you talk, like if you called your dad a year ago, for some reason you had to call your dad and you had to be on the phone for 40 minutes, where would you start? It would
never happen. It's never happened. It would never happen. If I talk to my dad, it's, hey, Dad, Merry Christmas, or like, hey, Dad, how you been? And it lasts about a minute and a half, maybe. It's like, oh, how's April? How's the job? You all right? Me, I'm fine. Nothing much new. Okay, I guess that's about it. I don't think I've ever talked to my dad for longer than maybe 10 minutes. And that was, I think, about a week and a half ago.
Does that bum you out? Does that bum you out, or has it been just your whole life? So it's kind of just the way it is, or like
just the way it is. Yeah, it's the way it is. I just, I grew up angry at him. I was real angry, and I was just like, I'm never going to be like that guy. And I see parts of him in me, and it scares me. he's a really smart dude. And from what I understand, he's actually like funny and engaging in personal situations with other people. Like I've heard that he's like, like they like him and they like being around him. I never saw that. I just think that the only thing I can figure is, women, when they have kids, there's obviously a physical connection there. And I think most women tend to go, I live for this kid. I need to protect this kid. There's a lot of biological stuff that goes in there. Of course, there's crazy mothers that are the opposite and all kinds of shades of gray in between. But I think guys, it's much more like there's a choice involved. And you can either be like, you are my one true thing in life, or it's like, wow, shit, I got somewhere to be. Like I created you so you could annoy me, and I don't need that. And I'm a guy, and I'm going to peace out. I'm going to go out for some smokes and never come back. Guys have that option, I think, a lot more than most mothers, because they don't have an actual physical connection. There's different stuff going on. I think my dad just never went like, I'm a dad. I don't think my dad ever went, I'm a father. I don't think he ever had that self-identification and acknowledgement that he had become a father. And, he's never like, I mean, we haven't had any real like bad stuff. But he just wasn't really there. Right.
Were you an accident? Were they trying to have you? Do you know?
I don't think so. I think I was intentional. I never asked. Actually,
maybe it's that kind of thing where like he might have been one of those kind of guys where like, I'll give her a kid. She wants a kid. I'll give her a kid. He's not my kid, but I'll give her a kid, kind of thing. But yeah, maybe. Guys. Yeah, I just think that's what everybody did in the like 50s and 60s, and right up until the 60s. I think like you have the kid. I'll go 20s, to work.
We get yep. Yeah, and people got popped out kids fucking young, like stupid young. I mean, it's like, oh, I'm 22. Time to have a kid. Like, no.
If I want to have 5, I better get started. I am 20 now. It's so true. Like my dad, he has 2 kids, myself and my older brother. But I think he would have been content with not being a dad. I think he likes us. And he didn't really get fatherly until like later on in my life. Like every now and then he will give me some like good advice or some kind of like fatherly tidbit of knowledge. But and he shows me love. He says I love you. He'll do hugs and all that kind of stuff. But I think just guys and dads in general can just shut that off a lot easier than women can. Just be like emotionally like, listen, you'll figure it out. I'm going to be at the bar, or I'm going to be with my boys. You raise the kid. I'll talk to you guys later. That kind of shit. So Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you had a good time with your families. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Cool. Well, yeah, we've been going for a while. Let's wrap this one up.
Cool.
And do it again next week. Welcome to 2020, everybody. 2021, excuse me. Welcome to 2021. Yeah.
It's all going to be fine now.
It is funny that we think that, but even I'm guilty of like calendar flips. I think we're doing better. I think just because we know that adults are on their way to kind of take over.
That's better.
A little bit. I think that this vaccine is huge. I think within 6 months, we'll be seeing what normal looks like again, but probably another year until we feel like, okay, we're where we were. You know what I mean? But this has been a wild fucking year.
Part of me is afraid it's all going to get worse forever. And I'm an optimist, but I kind of think, and I'll leave you with this, the ultimate negative. I think that the coronavirus was training wheels for climate change. Oh. And in 10 years, everything that we went through with having to stay inside and all that will seem like fucking kids play, and it'll be too late, and the planet will be fucked, and that's it. Have I told you about my we are the virus theory?
Oh, fuck. No.
I kind of think.
No.
What if the world is an interconnected consciousness and for all intents and purposes isn't a rock with a bunch of different souls on it, but the aggregate of all of these souls and all of the plants and all of the living matter creates a single world organism, okay? What if COVID is an early warning detection that we're fucking up? What if it's a car alarm and the planet is sounding a car alarm and it's like, you jerks are screwing things up. There is an imbalance happening with me. You're on the edge. You guys are about 7-8 years from never being able to go back. So I'm going to sprinkle in some like magical stuff to like knock you the hell down. That doesn't have anything to do with necessarily the climate. You know, we're not breathing in smoke. But I kind of wonder if we're the virus and the planet is getting back at us, and it will, and we're not going to be smart enough. We've proved we weren't smart enough to handle this, or even our own country, and trying to get along and treat people with equality. And we couldn't even agree on Black Lives Matter. They just said, we just matter. They're not saying, how the fuck could you have a problem with that? How could you not feel so ashamed and so embarrassed to be a part of the Caucasian group that has been responsible for so much evil and so much oppression, and not go, cool. I'll at least thumbs up, or at least not be against Black Lives Matter. Like, what kind of a fucking putrid maggot do you have to be against people mattering?
Well, check this out. You've known me for a long time. You've seen me due to sports, like you know that Boston sports people care about it to like a ridiculous amount, and more than they should.
No, it's a totally logical, appropriate amount.
You saw me break my hand once punching a floor at Bridget's house when the Red Sox lost a championship game. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I punched a wood floor. And I went upstairs and I pouted. I didn't say goodbye to anybody, and everyone just kind of left. So Boston area people, New York, East Coast sports fans it's the most important thing in your life. So I have family members who are sports fanatics to the degree that I am, who have not watched a single Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics game this entire year because the teams as a whole back the Black Lives Matter movement.
Oh my God.
Like I have family.
I'm embarrassed for you.
Family boycotting sports because they want people to be seen as equal. just like, hey, I'm black, I'm brown, I'm Mexican, I'm trans. Like, can I just live too? And it's like, no. No. It's
amazing. I mean, goddamn. Anyway, we could go on. I don't want to. You got a lot to edit, but damn,
fuck it.
That was shocking. That was really shocking in the summer. Like we didn't have enough going on, but it made sense that somehow there was some compression of our society and something like ripped open. Yeah. And the positive part is that it did. Me Too was a positive. Yeah. That it became. It surfaced in the culture in a different and hopefully meaningful way.
Yeah.
So the Black Lives Matter is like obviously so crucial that it was, an unending problem for hundreds of years, but that it got a very serious and committed moment.
Yeah.
But the idea that anyone could be against it, it just breaks my heart, and it makes me I realize that I like to say America's the greatest country, or it's a great place. I'm so lucky to live here. Fuck America, man. Fuck it.
I don't agree there.
It's got some great stuff, but it sucks in the third act. Let me tell you.
There you go. That's a good way to end it. But I want to end on that note because that was a very good way to end it. But I do want to say that, like, I think a lot of the people that argue the Black Lives Matter thing are also poisoned by this idea that
100%
Black Lives Matter means fuck the police. And it doesn't necessarily mean that. Like, and this idea of like defund the police, it doesn't actually mean abolish the police. Like it's just everything is like you take your buzzword and you use it to make these people angry, and then you use this to make these people angry, and there's no conversation. It's difficult. Like I have my cousin is a cop in Massachusetts, And he's kind of my go-to guy when any of this new police brutality stuff comes up. And he listens to the show. He's going to hear this, and I want to have him on here at some point. But he'll always call me and ask me, like, what's the public stance on this? Like he as a cop, people don't really tell him how they feel sometimes. And as citizens, we don't really tell cops how we feel. So him and I, we get along great. And I'm able to be like, yeah, I mean, you guys at the moment are really disliked. And, you know, he's a good cop, and it's made him think about like getting out of being a cop. And his dad was a cop. He's a great cop. He's a cop in my hometown. Yeah, we're just in a very weird place. We're a very divided states of America is what we are right now.
I've never seen it like this my whole life. I've never seen it this bad.
And it is news. I mean, it really is. It's media, and it's pitting people against each other. And I've always been good at, like, I have Republican friends, I have Republican family, and I do try to find commonalities in people. So if I meet someone, I'm not going to focus on, unless you're like a pedophile, like I'm not going to look past being a pedophile. Right. He touches kids, but he's a really good golfer or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, we seem to get back to finding common ground in each other and bonding over Wonder Woman 84. That's the most important thing.
Another divisive topic.
Exactly.
We can't even agree on Wonder Woman.
I know. Well, Mr. Wendell, thank you very much for joining me. This is going to be a fun month. Everybody listening, if you have questions for myself or Steve, you can hit us up at Rare Form Radio on Instagram. We love those audio messages. We have a bunch of questions that people sent in, but we'll get to those next week. We got some good stuff. Keep those coming. You can find Steve Isaacs on Twitter and Instagram at Steve Isaacs. And also quickly, Steve started a bomb-ass t-shirt company called Haunted Water Park. And
yes, indeed.
You are such an... okay, I hate to blow you too much and inflate your ego, but like, as far as being an artist, a physical drawing artist, painting, musical, like whatever you want to do, you're great at it. And you've turned your drawing and your art into this really cool t-shirt company. Quickly tell us, like, what was the impetus for doing a t-shirt company, and what's it about, and where can people find it?
It's at hauntedwaterpark.com. And when I quit my job in advertising, I wanted to make a shop. I always wanted to have a place where I could come up with an idea, just make a t-shirt. A lot of people do, but now you can. It's really easy to set up a print-on-demand store, and I love that. And frankly, I just wear black t-shirts all the time. This one is kind of bluish gray, but in general...
I have that one.
Yeah. In general, I just love black t-shirts, and I realize I have these things forever, and they're like a part of me. And so I want to make those for other people. That's really it,
I love that. And it's you can find it on Instagram. You can go to the website. I imagine the website has all the links to all the socials, right?
Yes, indeed.
And by next week, we better have a fucking Rare Form promo code, okay?
Oh, good idea.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
We should have thought about this before the first show, but there it is. Steve, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 77 of Rare Form Radio. Steve also, by the way, did the logo for our show. So all the merch that you see, Steve has done as a favor to us. So thank you again for all that.
Well, some of it you've been doing great. You've been doing all the typeface stuff and
Yep. I've been doing some of that.
Nicely done.
It's fun. It is fun coming up with creative stuff. I just wish I could draw. I can't draw a goddamn thing. But anyway, Steve, thank you, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Good to see you as always.
Next week.
And we'll see everybody next week. And I just want to remind you that tomorrow is just the future's yesterday. Bye, everyone. The away team, Heaven's Gate, Marshall Applewhite, signing out. See you, buddy.
All right, I'll see you, man.
This is Lola, and I'm here to tell the world to stop being such pussies and listen to Rare Form Radio.